After over 800 days, I ended my Duolingo streak, but I'm not upset about it. I actually did it on purpose. Losing my streak taught me a solid lesson about achieving my goals, but to understand, you'll need some background info. Back in high school, I took multiple Spanish courses, and I was getting pretty good at Spanish. After I finished all these classes, I figured I might as well do a Duolingo just to keep my mind refreshed with the content. And since that day, I never really questioned my streak. I just focused on keeping it alive every day. That is, until recently. I started thinking about how interacting with Spanish material would actually help me learn better, reading Spanish books, watching Spanish movies, so I decided to look into that. For me, that meant reading Chainsaw Man in Spanish, and that's exactly what I did. I set up Google Translate to translate the words I don't understand, and made some flashcards so I could study everything later, and I got to reading. And after doing this for only a few weeks, I realized I was getting more genuine Spanish experience from 5 chapters of Chainsaw Man than a month of Duolingo. So obviously when I realized this, I asked myself, why do I still use this app? What's the point if it's not teaching me as much as I think it is? But then I went even further. I asked myself, why do I even bother learning Spanish? If I'm going to put in so little effort that I just read one chapter a day and do flashcards, then it would take me literal years to work my way up to bilingual. So I dropped it. No more Duolingo, no more Chainsaw Man, no more Spanish. It wasn't an easy decision, trust me. I put all this effort into studying Spanish, and to make that decision to finally give it up was not easy. But the main idea behind the switch was this: why bother putting in any sort of effort if I'm not going all the way? Here's an analogy that I hope will make sense. Imagine that I want to run a marathon. Imagine that in this scenario, I also have clubs and I play an instrument, I play piano every day and stuff like that, but I still make time to practice my marathon every day. Every day I run 3 miles. Wait, what? Obviously, if I keep this up, I will never reach my marathon goal. If I'm running 3 miles every day and the end goal is 26 miles, there's too much of a gap in effort for me to make any real progress. If I really wanted to reach this goal, I'd have to give something else up. Maybe I wouldn't practice piano every day, and I'd spend that time running an extra few miles. Or I'd quit a few clubs so that I could, instead go for a run every day. And this example seems painfully obvious, but it's really on the same level as stuff like Duolingo. They say that you can learn a language by just practicing, 5 minutes a day, but you get to the point where it's just not enough. Just like how running 3 miles a day won't prepare you for a marathon, doing a 5-minute or even 2-minute Duolingo lesson every day will not make you biliterate. If you want to do something awesome like become bilingual, you can't just chip away at it slowly every day. You can't just, do a 5-minute lesson or run 3 miles. You have to put in awesome amounts of effort to achieve the awesome goal. When I realized I was trying to become bilingual on top of everything else that I'm already doing, I realized that was just too much, and I stopped it there. So, the moral of the story is this: you have to prioritize your goals. For me, my studies are my top priority, so naturally I put them first. I wouldn't put my independent Spanish study above my actual school study because the goal of becoming bilingual isn't as important as getting an education and finding a job. And after my studies is probably my fitness. I want to, stay in shape and live a healthy life. Again, I wouldn't put my daily Duolingo lesson above my workout because that's just not how the priority of my goals are. So if you're in the position that I was where you have a bunch of different goals to choose from, stop and ask yourself this: what are the most important goals right now? If you're doing this right, you should only choose 2, maybe 3 major goals. Trust me, I know how difficult this can be. I know. I procrastinated doing it for so long. I wanted to do everything and I wanted to make so much progress in a bunch of different stuff, but now after time has gone by, I realized that that's just not how you do it. By eliminating all the distractions and the smaller goals that don't really matter to you, you're able to focus much more clearly on the ones that actually do. You'll make so much more progress by just focusing on a few important goals rather than a bunch of the ones that are yeah. And besides, you don't have to give up on these goals forever. No one's saying you have to do that. Just add them to your queue of goals. If my current goal is to run a marathon, but I also want to become bilingual, then I can just, train for a year, run the marathon, and then start studying to become bilingual. There's nothing saying that, after a year I won't be able to become bilingual. Pursuing one goal and then achieving it and going back and pursuing another goal that you had is totally doable. But the thing that's not doable is trying to do them all at once. You can't run the 3 miles and do the 5-minute Duolingo session and, I don't know, learn like piano chords for like 5 minutes and expect to make genuine progress in all of them. So now that you've made it this far, it's time to take action. Here's what you can do. Look at your goals. What are your current goals? What are you currently pursuing? Write them out on a piece of paper and put them in order of priority. So for me, like I said, studies is first, and then probably like fitness and stuff like that. So that would be number 2. After fitness, I probably have like my finance, so that'd probably be my number 3, and just keep going, etc., etc. But don't just do this in 5 minutes. Spend like, an entire day or entire week thinking about what your major goals are. Because once you have that clarity of knowing where you want to go, it makes getting there so much easier. Once you realize where you want to go, you can cut out all the distractions that like aren't really that important, and you can focus on actually getting there. That's all I've got for now. Keep making progress. Bye.